Scorpio and people who related to the symbol of the broom. I have laid your cards out. We're going to do a Celtic cross here based on the ones from Rachel Pollock, and I am going to help you through what looks like quite a difficult time. And we're going to try and work out some strategies for unpicking you mentally, because I can see from the cards on the table that this might have been quite a dramatic time for you, and we need some help being released from feeling like a victim of circumstances. So I hope you stick around. I hope this is helpful, and there will be some wonderful advice for you, I hope. So the reason that I'm saying this is, in your internal world, let's dive straight in, we see the Tower. This is a short, sharp shock. It's when something's built on the wrong foundations and it comes tumbling down, and it can be a bit shocking. It usually passes quite quickly, but it can come out of nowhere. And what am I seeing today? This sort of very funny geometric arrow here of the lightning. It's almost like some graphic design. I don't know if anyone is a graphic designer. The purple bruised clouds and the upside down woman who looks slightly less worried. But there are also yods of blessings in this. So it's been internally something has happened that has you feeling as if everything that you took for granted in some area of your life, and I suggest it might be through a partnership in marriage or work or with any pet, lover, workmate, friend that is really significant to you, something has rocked it. So how this feeling of sudden shock and dissolution in a way is affecting you on the outside is it's making you act like this. It's making you want to talk about it a lot. It's making you want to get the message out. It's almost like the relief that you would feel through talking about it, trying to make sense of it, and letting everyone know what's happened is a very strong urge at the moment, and you want to let everybody know. Now, if there's been a betrayal, it could be something like wanting to tell everyone you can't believe that your partner's done this. If it's a loss of some other sort, you might be talking it through with friends, trying to sort of understand what's happened. Or it could be that you're mitigating circumstances somewhat, trying to sort of do a PR job on something that has gone wrong in a business. So yeah, at the basis of the reading, we can see this idea of a firm partnership. And here we have a lot of problems around that, I would suggest. It's a stage card. Pamela Coleman Smith was a set designer, the woman who illustrated all of these, and she has put these double lines here where it indicates that it's just a phase. And I was reading a book yesterday, I can't remember the name of it. It's Oprah Winfrey's promoted it. It's by a neuroscientist. And it's about how to be happy. And actually it's really good. I will put the name. Much better than I expected. I just left it here where I live between two places, and I thought, oh, I might just chuck that out. But actually it's rather good. And they were talking about how happiness can coexist with unhappiness. And I really want you to get that message now. So even if you're going through quite a dramatic time, please don't feel like this is forever. And also just understand that if this is a stage, it's not the whole of you. This partnership wasn't the whole of you. I understand how upsetting it is when something like this happens. You have the bridge here. Let's remember that, because we need to get you back over that bridge into a better partnership again, because there's another card that has the bridge on it coming up. That's the Five of Cups, but I'll talk about that when we get to it. So in the recent past, there was... This woman is the divorcee of the pack. This is the Queen of Swords. And I wonder whether there has been a divorce. It could be even a fight with a mother figure, because we've got the Empress, who is the mother of the pack. There could be disappointment around mothering, but there's certainly a harsh truth to do with the creation, mother, bringing something to fruition. It's having to face the truth of something. And where this might lead you, this is only a potential outcome if we don't add any other elements like your environment, your hopes and fears, and your attitude. If we just look at what's going on around you, the potential outcome is feeling a bit overwhelmed by emotion and focusing on disappointment. Now, here's that other bridge. So in order to get back over that bridge into this beautiful partnership, we need you to stop concentrating on what's lost. We need you to turn around and look at these 2 cups that are still standing. You're not going to get anywhere if you just focus on what has been spilt, focus on what's been lost. It's not a happy place. And the Moon card, excuse me, I've got this really persistent, annoying thing in my throat. The Moon card is one in which the artists absolutely love it. And actually in this book that I was talking about, I'll put the link in the description, this neuroscientist talks about what our sort of happiness profile is, and poets are less optimistic than everyone and more pessimistic. Is that right? Experience less extreme happiness and more extreme lows. That makes them very good artists. So this isn't terrible, because when we delve into the depths of our being, we get wonderful insights that we can share with people. What am I seeing on these? Oh, the lovely little dog and the fox. Some stones around the base. The odds are rather beautiful on this one. These are blessings coming from this moon. Yeah, and there is a path out. But with the moon, with the 5 of Cups, it just suggests feeling rather overwhelmed and drowning in feelings. And I understand that, being that you've had a Tower moment. Coming up in the near future, a feeling of winning some sort of interim battle. Again, a stage card, those double lines in the background before the blue. But even if it's you that wins, it's not necessarily going to feel like a happy place to be. This is a kind of Pyrrhic victory. Is that the right thing to say? It's a victory where you might get pushback up from it at the end, or maybe you've had somebody beating you in some way. Now, if there's a fight around a dissolution of a partnership of some sort, there's going to be a bit of backwards and forwards going on. If it's between friends, hard words. It's a kind of period of trying to win small victories, but maybe needing to remember what the end goal is. In your attitude, this is where things start to change. Well, do they change? We're still very in our minds in this reading, I have to say, but we're going to find a way of unlocking this for you. In our attitude, we have the 10 of Swords. This is the minor to the Death card, and it suggests that you have accepted that something is over. You're not fighting for it anymore, and that's it. It's my funny hat. It's so cold in this shed. And normally I do the readings outside, but anyway, who cares? So this suggests something is over, but there is a new dawn coming, just like in the Death card, that lovely yellowy sky. And he's making a mudra in his hand there, which suggests life again. So it looks so alarming, that card, but actually it indicates you're not struggling on with something that doesn't work anymore. You're actually allowing it to die in order to allow something new. And in your environment, we have the counterpoint part to that Queen of Swords. We have the King of Swords. There are tough truths that are having to be faced. If it's a work thing, there might be some redundancies. There is culling, hard thinking, logical thinking, very unemotional, super practical, pragmatic, perhaps not very connected to the heart. However, there are clear skies in both of these cards. You're completely above the clouds with her, and he is ignoring those clouds. And they're both actually in quite a position of clarity, and they're not overwhelmed because they're not allowing their emotions to get the better of them. In your hopes and fears, you want justice. It does feel a bit like a divorce, this. or something from work where you need to fight what's happening, or if it's amongst friends where you feel you might be unfairly treated and you want a sense of justice now. Again, a raised sword, so much of this clear thinking and decisive, no nonsense thought process, and then the balance of the Libra scales. I can see a little Adam's apple on this card. This is a slightly different deck than I'm using usually, but I like it. The nice new details for me to look at. And that Cadbury's backdrop. Does someone love chocolate? I don't know. So you're desperate for justice. Where it's all leading, I'm afraid, is more of this disappointment. This is self-victimization, the number 8 of swords. So rather than using all this king and queen and justice energy of thinking clearly, you're now victimizing yourself. What have I done wrong? What's wrong with me? Going round and round, exaggerating the problems, feeling you can't get free. This always reminds me of the film The Princess Bride. You know, she's sort of tied up, but on some sort of crazy quest. Does she need to get away from this castle or towards this castle? But the point is, if she used one of these swords decisively, she could untie herself quite easily and unbind the eyes, the cloth around her eyes so that she could see clearly. Okay, so there's some work to be done, but that's okay. Everybody goes through these moments. So let's take a card from the Enchanted Forest cards, tarot. The 5 of Spells. Now, I think this might be another 5 of Swords. Let's check. That's interesting. So they're going to get us to focus on something specifically in this reading. And here we go. Put the other glasses on. 5 of Spells. 5 of Boons. 5 of Challenges. 5 of Visions. 5 of Spells. At a glance. Oh no, this is the 5 of Wands. Friendly competition, striving for excellence, healthy rivalry, learning from mistakes. The wizard's professors make their students work out their magical errors on their own, which means some young half-toads may have trouble holding their forks at dinner. A few students from the Woodland Wizarding School have come out to work on their transformation spells, and toady hilarity ensues. Though to us onlookers the scene is humorous, these toad boys are deadly serious about their mock battle. They're learning their craft, exercising their powers and refining their skills through comradely competition. Each wants to be the best, and that spurs the others on to greater glory. These young wizards do know what they're doing in terms of the spell, itself, but magic is still an effort at this stage. With practice, they will soon move on to more challenging sorcery. Makers of magic know that they can reach new levels of achievement with a little healthy competition. The trick is to keep it light and friendly, not to devolve into a fight, which can be especially dangerous when wizardry is involved. Find ways to engage with your fellow wizards through playfulness, encouragement. Look, that's interesting. This is the 1-5 that isn't negative, isn't wholly negative. I mean, I don't find it negative at all. It's a bit like playing a really fun game and using your competition. It's a better energy than this one, where you've taken everything a little bit too far and you've forced an issue. If this is about friendship or a complication in any kind of partnership that's not completely broken down, then we could say, why not just fight for your needs and keep it light and understand that we're in a process of learning something here and that we don't always get it all right. Even in the most beautiful relationships, we have to learn to work around each other. It's not just a sort of stasis. So there might have been a short, sharp shock. Something might have happened that you didn't expect. I wonder, whether an attempt at a pregnancy could have failed. As I said, it could be a spat with your mother. Something to do with a new partnership has not been as you want it, and now you're feeling a bit victimy and you're wanting to just give up. And this card is saying, don't give up, keep trying. These kind of moments of transformation sometimes take a bit of an effort, and you have lots of good competitive energy to keep you going. And another card, just to focus our minds on this in a different way, from the Shining Tribe Tarot. Could we have a comment from either some advice or something that you want us to focus on in the reading. So we've got the Speaker of Stones and the Five of Rivers. That's really interesting. These came out this morning, and it's unusual for them to come out straight away again like this. Five of Rivers, I think, is the Five of Cups. So we've got 3 fives already on the table, and it's interesting. The fives are the suit of Mars, and I know Mars retrograde is coming to an end as I'm making this video. Maybe that will kind of force some sort of softening in this kind of warlike energy that we've got. So this is another version of the Five of Cups, and that's what it wants us to look at. So let's read from the book here. But it's a much better version. It's learning from our grief rather than getting stuck into it. Five of Rivers. Okay, so in short, the little meaning is accepting loss, adapting to new situations, grief, but also greater understanding, self-knowledge. So if you have had some sort of loss, I'm never ever going to belittle that. I've had enough in my life to know that it's horrible. But I've also had enough to know that personally I get quite stuck there, and that's not useful. And this card I found quite moving when I read it this morning. And basically it says, in the tarot deck, I'm reading bits of it because I don't want this to go on too long. In the tarot deck, the Five of Cups shows an image of loss and the need for acceptance. In many tarot decks, like this, we see loss, but needing to accept it and turn around and look at something else. The famous Rider deck version of the card depicts a sorrowful figure standing rigidly in a dark cloak while they look down at these 3 spilled cups. Behind the figure, unnoticed, stand 2 upright cups. And in the Shining Tribe Tarot, the rigidity has given way to acceptance. The river flows up and down but remains one river, just as our lives are a river with many turns. As creatures of water, the fish adapt to the bends. The card helps us accept where we are at this time in our lives. Why have I put that down? At this time in our lives. Reminding us at painful moments that no situation remains forever. In the famous words of the Anglo-Saxon bard who had lost his place in the court, this too shall pass. So when it says it lost his place in the court, I wonder whether there is something to do with friendships. The spiral of fortune, or something at work to do with... Yeah, anyway, let's see. The spiral of fortune spirals up to a brighter consciousness, an implication of action to come. Here the heads spiral down and inwards like the snake of the high priestess. This gives the card a quality of introspection and discovery of self. So it's saying don't get stuck in this loss. And then the next card is really beautiful, because this card, the Speaker of Stones, is really the Ten of Pentacles, which is about a great abundance. So if you can learn through this loss, there is a time of amazing abundance coming to you, which you're going to love. Speaker of Stones. Sorry, it is actually not the Ten of Pentacles. It's equally abundant. It is the final... It's the King of Pentacles. And in short, speaking from total conviction, persuading others through the power of one's certainty. It's interesting because we have this card here of you, how you're acting with this communication. Speaking with total conviction, persuading others through the power of one's own certainty. Fecundity, fertility in many aspects, wealth, artistic or intellectual accomplishments, societal recognition. Maybe something, someone could have a podcast or do lots on social media. Maybe something to do with what you've been communicating hasn't landed right. But now, if you can incorporate your loss and not get overwhelmed by it, be a bit more competitive, don't just give up. I think that you are in a position where, you can get your message out correctly. So there's a lot about the kind of genesis of the imagery in this to do with standing stones and old paintings found in caves. And I don't want to read you all of these. Sorry, I was reading in the wrong place. I thought that doesn't look familiar. We have two direct images of speaking here. One from the center, think of gut knowledge. The other from the womb. It's the fact that it's talking about the womb, I wonder whether there is a pregnancy thing here. This is a speech of the body and of our deepest ways of knowing and communicating, and yet the mind is included as well, both in the abstract signs all around her and the way that the carvers created a human form with geometric shapes. The speaker of stones, with its connection to the earth and its very ancient origins, is the most powerful of speakers. It speaks absolute truth. Is that what you're being asked to do? Maybe in light of this disappointment and this short, sharp shock, your messaging, your ability to be honest and speak the truth has somewhat been compromised. I want one more card of clarification. Let's just ask, is there anything you can do to give us some advice here to make sure that whoever's watching gets their message out properly, deals with their grief, understands that it's just a river of experience, and gets back into this abundant place that we see them having the ability to do? Okay, that's interesting. We've got a combination here. The Queen of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands. So the Queen of Pentacles is very abundant. She is the counterpart to this King of Stones, this the card I've just read about, which is the King of Pentacles, but we call it the Speaker of Stones in the Shining Tribe deck. And she is the one who would say to you, okay, I know you're feeling like the wounded warrior. I know you're feeling defensive, but just get back into this and value yourself highly enough. Do not start identifying with the pain. Start remembering what you want for your life. The Queen of Pentacles is the bougie queen. She has a beautiful house. She's well paid. She absolutely would not be taking second best from anybody. And I think sometimes when we've been through a bit of a trial, we start to forget our worth and we start to identify with the series of negative thoughts that start coming out. And I don't think that's helpful. I'm just going to use these for one more tiny little bit of encouragement. Excuse me. I want to just ask a very clear question. One final piece of advice so that Scorpio and Broom people can really get to grips with this feeling of disappointment and victimhood. That's so interesting. Reminding us to use this bitch queen of the pack, to use this intellect that we see in the past. Remember to think clearly. Maybe go to a friend who's got really good advice, doesn't mince her words, says it like it is. Because by doing that, you'll get over your disappointment. Again, this Five of Cups. It's really saying, I feel like it's saying, because we've had the Five of Cups turn up twice in one form and once in the Five of Rivers, but 3 times effectively, you are not focusing on anything other than what you've lost. And you need to stop it now. You've got to turn around and understand that life is a beautiful river of experiences, and you can actually learn from these disappointments. You don't need to get stuck in this point. There will be many, many good things that happen to you again now. And if you can do that, if you can use the Queen of Swords' energy to do that, then we can see you suddenly with the Justice card, which is exactly what you hoped for, getting what's fairly yours, getting everything in order again, being treated fairly by the world and those around you, and then going off on your amazing heroic quest with the Chariot card, where you might split your laser beam. It might be quite fast and furious, but boy, are you following a new path that's really meaningful for you, with that canopy of stars, with all of these elements that come in the preceding beginning of the major arcana. This isn't card number 7, but we've got bits of every single one of the previous arcanas here. He doesn't need reins. He's in control of these two opposing kind of energies here, and off he goes, and he will be successful, and it is a wonderful quest. So please give up the disappointment. I know what it's like, but maybe this book, I'll put it in the link, might be useful to you. A practice of gratitude is always useful. And also something really interesting that I read in this book yesterday, which might help you, which is at times of great loss, we stop using certain parts of our brain and we become much more focused on a part of the brain that allows us to create new opportunities. It's strange. There's some sort of neurochemistry that goes on. So we are actually uniquely able to make change and make opportunity at those times. And when I look back at times when I lost people that were very important to me, to when I've had great losses, there has always been a big shift afterwards. And maybe that's because of the brain chemistry. Maybe I've been able to, in this moment of loss, focus a little bit more on a different kind of more strategic part of the brain. Maybe that will help. I hope that you can get out of this sense of disappointment, because there's some good questing ahead of you. Thank you. Bye.